Hello everyone, welcome back. In today's video, we got another news and rumor video to discuss. In today's video, we're discussing some major signings that have happened from over the past few days, some injury updates, some waiver updates, and a couple of trade rumors involving Utah, Montreal, Calgary, and Nashville. And go to all that coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the Internet Hockey Channel. Before we get this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below. Thank you for all your support. We know what's up, you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below, and hopefully you'll comment down in the comment section below so I'll discuss in today's video. So in today's video, we're starting off with a couple of signings that happened from our past couple of days, some interesting signings that have taken place over the past 2-3 days. So we'll get to all those here. We're going to start off with the ELC that was signed from the Utah Hockey Club, as Utah has signed 2024 5th round pick, center prospect Owen Allard. Allard gets a 3-year ELC with a $870,000 that we then start next year. Allard looks like eventually could be a really solid center prospect there for the Utah franchise. Last year, over in the OHL, put up 18 goals and 44 points in 55 games. So far this year, has 2 points in 1 OHL game. Looks pretty good. I think Allard eventually could be a solid third, fourth line center there for Utah. So good to see Allard get his ELC, and good to see Utah sign another one of their prospects. Then over on Thursday, we saw a massive contract extension for one of the big penny UFAs that was left on the board that a lot of people were talking about, and that was Theodore, who a lot of people were expecting to potentially leave Vegas. Would he get traded in season? Would he leave as UFA? He's going to wind up staying in Vegas. He's in the final year of a 7-year deal with AV of $5.2 million. He signs a 7-year extension with AV of $7.43 million. Theodore, who's been one of the Vegas mainstays on their blue line since year 1, is going to be with them for a long period of time. I think he's going to be with them until he's like 35, 36. That's when this contract ends. So that's a really good pickup there for the Golden Knights. Theodore, when healthy, he's been fantastic. So far this year, has a goal and 6 assists, 7 points in 6 NHL games. Looks pretty good. He's suffering with an injury right now, but still, he's been phenomenal for the Knights. Last year, had 5 goals and 42 points in 47 games. I mean, he's nearly a point per game defenseman over the past couple of years. He's over a point per game right now. So Theodore's a really good defenseman. I know a lot of people thought that after the Hanifin acquisition, Theodore would sort of be pushed out of town for Vegas, but no, he stays. They now have Theodore locked up long term, Hanifin locked up long term, Pietrangelo still got a couple of years left on his contract, Whitecloud still got a couple of years left. They have a lot of their decor signed for the next couple of seasons. So it's really good news there for Vegas to sign Theodore as one of their top end defensemen, who ends up staying for the next couple of years. So interesting note there. Then we saw the Florida Panthers sign an ELC recently, and that was with left winger Hunter St. Martin. St. Martin, who gets a 3-year ELC with an AAV of $855,000, was a 2024 6th round pick of the Florida Panthers. Looks like eventually could be a really solid forward prospect there for the Panthers. Last year, St. Martin put up 24 goals and 52 points in 68 WHL games. This year so far has 7 goals and 8 points in 8 games in the WHL. Looks pretty good. I think St. Martin eventually could be a solid low-end 4th line, maybe bottom 6 forward. So pretty good pickup there for the Panthers to get St. Martin signed. And then we saw Alexei Lafreniere recently also get a massive extension. We were talking about Lafreniere for a little bit. Lafreniere winds up getting a major extension. He's in the final year of a 2-year deal with AV of $2.325 million. He gets a 7-year extension with AV of $7.45 million. A lot of people are expecting an 8x8 deal. So this is 1 year less, a little bit less on the AAV, but still, with the way Lafreniere's played over the past couple of years, this is a fantastic deal. So far this year, Lafreniere has 4 goals, 7 points in 7 games. He's a point per game player right now. Last year had a career high 28 goals and a career high 57 points in the full 82 game season, which blew his previous career high of 39 out of the water. So Lafreniere looks pretty good. If he continues this trajectory, I could see him be like a 60-70 point player eventually, maybe even a point per game player. And I think at that sort of a point total, the cap is really sort of justified. So interesting note there, but Lafreniere is going to stay with the New York Rangers, and he signs a 7-year extension. So interesting note there. But those were signed from our past couple of days. We saw ELCs given to 2 late round picks from last year's draft in Florida and Utah. And we also saw Theodore pending UFA and Alexei Lafreniere pending RFA signed massive contract extensions with the Rangers and the Golden Knights. So interesting note there. We're going to a couple of injury updates from our past couple of days now. Not too much to talk about here, but Slafkovsky is expected to miss about a week with an upper body injury, and Justin Barron's day-to-day with upper body injury. So Babel is there for the Habs as they lose 2 of the younger players. Ryan Lindgren has been activated off of injury reserve after suffering an injury earlier in, I think, training camp, and he got back into game action. So good to see Lindgren back into game action. Matt Dumba's also been activated off of injury reserve. He got back into game action for Dallas, so good news there. Erica Branson's underwent shoulder surgery. He's going to be out indefinitely, probably at least a couple of months. So we're not going to see Eric Branson back for the Columbus Blue Jackets for quite some time. Thomas Bordeleau and Shakir Mukahamadoulan, who both started season opening injury reserve, have both been activated and sent to the minors. So Bordeleau and Mukahamadoulan will, at least for a time being, play in the AHL. So just a note there. Then we saw Alex Texier be activated off of injury reserve and go back into game action for St. Louis Blues, as did Oscar Sundqvist. Well, Nick Leddy has been injured with a lower body injury and was placed in injury reserve. And Robert Thomas is going to miss about the next 6 weeks, was also placed in injury reserve, this time with an ankle injury. So some bad blows there for the Blues as Thomas and Leddy are placed on injury reserve, but good to see Texier and Sundqvist get back into game action. Then we saw Artem Levshunov, who was also suffering with an injury for the Blackhawks on season opening injury reserve, but he was sent down to the minors, so he's going to get some AHL playing time for a time being. Nick Seeler was activated off of injury reserve, got back into game action after not playing a game so far up until that point in the season, so good to see the Flyers get Seeler back. Devon Toews should be activated soon off of injury reserve if he hasn't been already, so good to see Toews get back for the Colorado Avalanche. Ryan Hartman's day-to-day with the upper body injury. He's going to miss the next couple of games, so bad stuff there for the Wild. Sean Durzi is going to be out 4 to 6 months after having shoulder surgery. John Marino is going to be out 2 to 3 months after having back surgery. So some bad injuries there for Utah as they suffer blows to their blue line, with Durzi and Marino going to be out for months. So that's bad blows there for Utah. Zach Benson is day-to-day for Buffalo, and Max Pacioretty is day-to-day with Toronto, both with lower body injuries, and should be back in the not-too-distant future. So interesting out there. Joseph Woll's been activated after having groin issues, and he's played his first game of the season, so good stuff there for the Leafs. Anthony Duclair's timeline's been 4 to 6 weeks now, so he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a leg injury. So bad blow there for the Islanders to miss their offseason acquisition for the next month and a half. And then Luke Hughes and Brett Pesce, after starting the season on injury reserve, have both been activated and now gone back into game action. So good stuff there as the Devils have gotten a couple of key pieces back. So interesting out there, but Lindgren, Dumba, Texier, Sundqvist, Hughes, Pesce, Seeler, amongst others, have been activated and got back in the game action. Well, it's bad to see guys like Duclair, Marino, Durzi, Thomas, Gabranson all miss time due to injuries. So interesting out there. And lastly, we went to a couple of waiver updates in our past couple of days. So during our last news and rumor video, we talked about some waiver updates, including Matthew Highmore, who was currently on waivers during the last time we did a trade rumor video. Highmore did indeed clear and was assigned to the AHL, so good to see Ottawa get Highmore off a season opening injury reserve and have him clear, so that's a decent depth option, could be a call-up option there for the Senators. Then a day after that, we saw Connor Sheary be placed on waivers by Tampa Bay Lightning. He makes a $2 million cap, I think, for the rest of this year, so it's not really any surprise that he wound up clearing 2 days ago, and the Bulls have been able to assign him to the minors, so they are able to free up a little bit of cap space, and Sheary is sent down to the minors. Then we saw Chad Ruhwedel, I think it was yesterday, be placed on waivers for New York Rangers. Not too surprised there. He's a decent 6th, 7th defenseman. I could have seen him be claimed, but he did wind up clearing, so good news there for the Rangers. They're able to keep a depth defenseman in the organization for the next little while, and he's sent down to the minors, so interesting out there. And lastly, we saw 3 players be placed on waivers earlier today. That was Riley Tufte in Boston, Kyle Yamamoto in Seattle, and Pavel Novak in Minnesota on waivers for the purpose of contract termination. So it'll be interesting to see Novak get maybe a fresh start elsewhere or go overseas or something like that. While Tufte and Yamamoto, we'll have to see if they wind up being claimed. I could see Yamamoto be claimed. He's a decent 13th forward. Tufte, I think it's most likely he'd clear, but I wouldn't be overly shocked if he wound up being claimed. So interesting out there, but we have some interesting waiver updates from our past couple of days as Highmore's cleared, Ruhwedel's cleared, and Sheary's cleared off of waivers, while Tufte and Yamamoto are currently on waivers, with Novak being placed on waivers for the purpose of contract termination. So interesting out there. And lastly, going over to a couple of trade rumors. So when it comes to a trade rumor, we've got a couple of things to talk about here. Some comes from the insider trading video that happened yesterday. Some also comes from Elliot Friedman's recent 32 Thoughts blog. So on Elliot Friedman's recent 32 Thoughts blog post, he was talking about the Calgary Flames and Nashville Predators and how they are both currently in the market for a center. He says that Nashville, on a recent radio hit, I think it was, that Barry Trotz was doing, said that they could definitely use some more center help, but there's not really any trades that happen at this point in the season. So you're probably going to see some teams with needs maybe try and make some trades, but probably won't see very many trades in this point in time. So according to Barry Trotz, it sounds like he's in the market for a center. They already have some decent centers like Novak, Stamkos can play center. They have O'Reilly, but I think they might need some more help in the middle. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what the Predators do, but according to Elliot Friedman, they are in the market for a center. And while trades probably won't happen at this point in time, they will probably try and check in on centers who could be available. Like, part of me thinks maybe a guy like Mikael Granlund could go back to Nashville, be a really good fit there. Brock Nelson might be a really good fit. Sean Couturier could potentially be available if the Flyers really want to move him. Morgan Frost, there's a lot of talk about him over the past little while. What about a guy like Andrew Kopp from Detroit, or a guy like Christian Dvorak Dvorak from Montreal. There's a couple of interesting centers that may be available to teams looking for centers, so we'll have to wait and see. But Nashville does seem to be in the market for a center, as is Calgary. The Flames apparently are also currently in the market for a center. We talked about this in our last video. Frank Saravalli mentioned it. Now Elliot Friedman also mentioned it, that the Flames would really like to improve their center depth, even though there's very likely no trades are going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. So like I said, I mentioned before, Zegras, Nelson, Granlund as players I speculated. Like I just said, Dvorak could be another one. Frost. There's probably a couple of other guys I'm forgetting at this point in time. So it'll be interesting to see, but according to Elliot Friedman and according to Frank Saravalli from our last video, it sounds like the Flames really do want a center help. According to Elliot Friedman right now, Nashville wants some center help. So a couple of teams in the Western Conference who seem to be in the center market right now could look to benefit from adding like maybe a veteran type center or someone who can really grow with those teams. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But keep your eye on the Preds and the Flames as both teams look for center help. Then we go over to Montreal Canadiens on the recent insider trading video on TSN. Pierre Lebrun was talking about the Montreal Canadiens and saying that the Canadiens haven't really liked their start to the season. They're 2-4-1 right now at the recording of this video. There's a very likely chance that they'll be below 500 at the 10-game mark. So that's not the start that this team has really wanted from this group, and they've definitely had some holes that they could definitely try and fill. Now, according to Pierre Lebrun, Kent Hughes is checking in on a lot of things and says that he is a little more active than he probably would have been if the Canadiens had a better start to the season. But there's still a lot of teams aren't going to make any trades right now. It does seem like it's very unlikely that trades will happen in the not too distant future. So it's more just like checking in on things. But he says that if he could find some way to make some sort of a trade happen, it's quite possible Kent Hughes would pull the trigger. Now, he says that there's a couple of interesting obstacles that the Canadiens have to get through. One, they're not going to mortgage the future for any sort of short-term help. So even though they have a little bit of a banged-up blue line, I think it is at this point in time, plus their forwards aren't playing overly great, they're not going to try and move like first-round picks, second-round picks, or really high-level prospects to try and get like some sort of a short-term stopgap upgrade. And on top of that, he says they're right up against the cap, so they have to move cap out to gain someone on the cap. So it'd be a very difficult trade for Montreal to pull off if they were to try and get any sort of upgrades at this point in time. But he does say that Kent Hughes is checking the phones and trying to see what's out there, and it could wind up happening, but it's very unlikely at this point that Montreal makes a move. But at least they are trying to check and see what they can do, as they've had a rather sour start to the season. And when it comes to the Utah franchise, Pierre Lebrun is also touching on this and said that the Utah franchise is sort of in a pickle when it comes to their defense. Like we just talked about, Durzi and Marino both going to be out for a month. Marino's probably not going to be back until early in the new year, Durzi until close to the playoffs. So those are two bad blows there for the Utah franchise. But there is a speculation out there that both Pierre Lebrun and Elliot Friedman on that blog post have said that they don't really want to make any sort of rush trades. They're going to try and fill out internally. Utah is on the blue line. They've called up Maverick Lamoureux. They're going to try and have some of their younger guys fill in at this point in time. Pierre Lebrun said that they don't really want to do anything too drastic. I know Elliot Friedman said they don't want to do a trade they'll regret in like 5 to 10 years. So it'll be interesting to see, but they are still talking about making a trade. Pierre Lebrun says that Bill Armstrong is at least checking out on some players. One guy that Pierre Lebrun does mention is Ivan Provorov, who's a pending UFA with the Columbus Blue Jackets. Jackets aren't having the greatest of starts to the season, and if they do, like most people expect, and wind up missing the playoffs, it could be a guy who ends up being had at the trade deadline. So we're going to have to wait and see on that, but Provorov seems to be a guy that Utah's checked in on, and there's probably a couple of other guys too, but we'll have to wait and see. According to Pierre Lebrun, he also says they're not trying to go after someone with term, because Marino and Durzi, who both do have term, are going to be back at some points this year. So he says that a rental might be a little bit more way to go for Utah, and that's why they might check in on a guy like Provorov. So we're going to have to wait and see on what Utah does. According to a lot of people though, Pierre Lebrun, Elliot Friedman, they say that Utah is going to try and coast with the blue line they have right now and maybe not try and make a splash move. But if they continue to lose, this team really wants to try and get some more wins and be a lot more competitive than they were last year's Arizona. So if it gets to a point, they may make a trade, but for a time being, it looks like they'll try and improve internally. So that's all I'm going to talk about for today. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all this down in the comment section below. What do you think happens with Utah? Do they make some sort of a splash trade? Do they wait a couple of weeks? What do you think happens with Utah after their injuries to the blue line? Do the Habs make some sort of a move? And can they sort of make it work cap-wise without giving up too many assets? Do the Preds and Flames wind up getting their centers? And if so, who could they try and target? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of that. that, plus what you think with the waiver updates, injury updates, and signings for the past couple of days. Definitely love to guys thoughts on all of that down in the comment section below. So I'm going to talk for today. Until I this video, if you'd like to subscribe down below. Thank you all for your support. We're known to without you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment down in the comment section below. So I'll discuss in today's video. Also a blog talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. It'll link down in the description below. And kind of see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.